Welcome to the Human Resources for Small Business podcast, presented by Xenium HR. I'm your host, Brandon Laws. Whether you're an HR professional or a small business leader, each episode of this podcast is designed to bring you the latest in technical HR and leadership at your convenience. More content is available on our website at www.xeniumhr.com. Let's dive into today's topic. Hey, welcome back for another episode of the Human Resources for Small Business podcast. This is a What's Up in the Workplace with Lacey Partipilo. Good to have you back.
Yeah.
So holiday parties right around the corner, and interesting that some employers are really doing holiday parties and doing them.
They go all out.
They go all out.
Yeah.
Alcohol and all that stuff, and it can get pretty wild at times, I'm sure.
Some of my best or worst, I don't know, horror stories come from fallout from holiday
That's
parties.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of look holistically at a holiday party, year-end party, whatever you want to call it, and we'll get into that part of it. What is the purpose of it?
I think employers do host these things for a few reasons: to celebrate a year that went well, to build camaraderie and teamwork, get people together in a social setting. I think it's just been something that has been done for years, and so it's a tradition that continues. But I think it's just, for the most part, probably a way that employers can give back to employees, show appreciation, and get people together in a setting that's maybe not so work related, which is what
so
scares
it's like
me.
Really it's celebratory in
Yes.
a way, right? It's the end of the year. It's like, hey, great job. I know, like, we've had holiday parties with Xenium and the Stoller Group, which is the parent company, and it's always a blast. I always look forward to it. It's so
our
much
holiday
fun.
and I
So
love
much
that
fun.
we do them in January, because December is always so busy for people personally.
Agreed.
So it's always something that's like, get through the holidays that you have with your family, and then have something to look forward to in January as the year starts.
I know. It's always funny, like, I don't know about you, when I tell my friends, like, oh yeah, I got a holiday party. It's like late January. They're like, holiday party?
I love it
Holiday
though.
party?
I think it works better. I would encourage employers to think about
I think
that
so too.
because I think you actually get more participation because people aren't busy with their own stuff in December.
100% agree. Okay, so then logistically, what should the holiday party look like?
Well, the first thing when we were talking about, this is something that's coming up, we should talk to listeners about it, that I am hearing and I think about is inclusivity, right? So like with these initiatives that many employers have around diversity, equity, and inclusion, how do we create an environment where we're not picking just one holiday?
It's not Christmas. It's not Hanukkah. It's is holiday the appropriate term? Is it a year-end party?
I think that works too. I think some employers feel like, gosh, we don't want to swing the pendulum so far that we're like, it's just a winter party. But truly, if you are committed to creating an environment where people are included and not excluded, being careful or thoughtful about your semantics and how you name things, it's important. So it's worth taking the time to consider that.
That's why I always like the year-end party, because it's really you're not celebrating Christmas together. I think you're celebrating each other and the work that you did, and you worked hard all year, and I think that's what it is. To me, that's how I would frame it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're able to celebrate the wins too, and so to incorporate some of that, did we hit our goals, and what does that mean? Being able to sort of do that all at once for an employer, I think makes it easy too.
Well, we do like awards, and that's always fun because your spouse is there, and you're going up on stage with the music, and you get a little trophy.
I've always told people, I feel like it's like the paparazzi,
it's
or
crazy.
Like taking your picture as you're walking up there.
It's like, because we have 400, 500 people in these things, and I'm sure there's other companies people that are listening that they're huge companies, probably thousands of employees. Yes. So I couldn't even imagine what that would be like, and logistics around developing a party around that. But I don't know. I always love celebrating the year as a whole. And I think that would be the way to do inclusively.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let's talk about alcohol.
Yeah.
So this is the HR stuff that I need your advice on.
Yeah.
So if an employer is listening, like, hey, I've been wanting to do a year-end holiday party thing, and should I have alcohol or should I not? What do you say?
I say proceed with caution. So
like drink tickets or limits or
yeah,
what?
I mean, I think you have to sort of consider your population, right? Like if you have a lot of people that work for you that aren't, even of drinking age, I would take that into consideration. I would also make sure that you're offering to either reimburse or provide transportation to employees if they're going to be drinking. And I do think there should be some limit or some oversight into how much folks are drinking. And so I've seen the drink tickets work depending on how big your organization is. I've also seen employers sort of steer away from the open bar with the hard alcohol and maybe just serving beer and wine.
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to is if you're hiring people that are responsible, you recognize and reward that kind of behavior in the workplace. The goal would be that even at a company-sponsored event, that people would behave accordingly. Doesn't always happen, though. So inhibitions get lowered when people are drinking. Policies get violated. Reminding people what expectations are ahead of time is important. And then dealing with problems when they happen. Yep. So if people are misbehaving, they are behaving inappropriately, really dealing with those things as they occur in the moment. I think that stuff's important.
Yeah. I want to give a quick plug. So there's a podcast here in the Portland area, actually. A couple guys I know, they have a podcast called The Hostile Work Environment, where they actually look at case law and things that are public at this point because they've been either settled or went to trial or whatever. And they'll talk about what happened, and then they'll break it down and why the decision was a certain way. And sometimes they agree with it and sometimes they don't. One in particular that sticks out to me was a holiday party thing where
doesn't surprise me.
People got drunk and I can't remember exactly. There's something very graphic in it. So I'll say proceed with caution if you want to go listen to that episode, but it's pretty vulgar. And I mean, it's all part of the case, but oh my gosh, I can't even believe this kind of stuff happens.
It does.
And that's why, like, when I asked you to put on your HR hat right here and you said proceed with caution, I 100% buy that.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And it also, I mean, if you think about for new employees that are coming into an organization at the end of the year and they're attending these, I mean, this is your brand, right? And and a lot of employers have these parties outside of the workplace. So then you've got your employees who are out, downtown Portland or wherever.
Yeah. We have listeners in New York City,
exactly.
and Texas.
Yeah.
And
so they're
California,
out representing your company and engaging in behavior that is maybe not something that you'd want really out there advertised. Those are just things to be thinking about. And so I'm not the HR person that says don't have the holiday party, because it's one of my most favorite things that we do here. But
you see to see people outside of the work environment.
Yeah, and families too. I like the idea too of, and we don't do this anymore, but we used to mix it up. Maybe one year it's employees and spouses, and it's kind of a opportunity to get dressed up and go out. And maybe you decide to do one that's more family focused, to appeal to the employees who it's kind of a burden to have to get a babysitter and deal with all of that.
Sure.
So ask your employees, have them help participate in, coordinating and planning. I think that's another way to get people engaged. But be really, really mindful when you're mixing alcohol and employees that people know what the expectations are, what consequences will happen, and providing a safe way for people to get home, I think is really important.
Yeah, I was going to ask you as a follow-up question, the safe way to get home. So I think, like, as an employer, what you could do is offer some public transportation or reimbursement, like an Uber or taxi or whatever it takes, because you wouldn't, the alternative is a lawsuit or somebody gets hurt.
Yeah. And if it's company sponsored and you're providing the alcohol, you, depending on, the laws where you were at,
true.
Could be held liable for that accident or what might happen. So the cost of a $50 Uber or Lyft to get somebody from the party home.
It's the right thing to do.
It is.
Yeah.
And many employers, really, I think all of the ones that I'm working with are including that kind of language in their drug and alcohol policies, that if it is a company sponsored event and you have too much to drink, we will reimburse for a ride share so you can get home safely.
Good stuff. Okay, so you're basically in the camp of have a holiday party, but do it the right way.
Do it the right way, be responsible. And be inclusive.
Okay, good stuff. Anything else on this?
No, just wish happy holidays to our listeners.
I love it. All right, Lacey Partipilo, thanks for being part of the podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Human Resources for Small Business podcast. Subscribe to this podcast and leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, be sure to check out our blog at www.zeniumhr.com/blog and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn to hear about the latest in HR and leadership. The information on today's episode is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as legal or customized advice for you or your organization. This podcast is hosted and fully produced by Brandon Laws, that's me, and created and owned by Zenium Resources, Inc. For more information or to contact us, visit www.zeniumhr.com.